Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her fiancé? I, 28 male, have been married to my wife, 28 female, for 7 years. And although that was very young to get married, we had been together since year 8 of secondary school. And it's safe to say I think she's the one. Now, I come from a white family in Britain, whereas she comes from a black family and she's dark-skinned. My family never were racist towards her and were immediately accepting. And her and my mother are pretty much best friends. And last year, we gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. 3 years ago though, my twin sister got a new boyfriend, 30 male. Me and him didn't have any problems as we hardly ever spoke, but he seemed nice enough. So nice in fact that I helped him and my sister do the letters for their wedding. When we were starting, I checked through the guest list and after a quick skim through, I noticed my wife's name wasn't on there. I questioned my sister about it and she directed me to her fiancé. He stated that he didn't think it would be appropriate. I asked him what he meant, and he said that it wouldn't really seem right for us to mix and she would be the only blackie there. I had a total outrage at this and told my sister to cross off my name because if my wife doesn't go, I don't go. And I left her house and began to drive back to mine. I told my wife what he said, and she said I should just go to not stir up any family fights. But I told her that she was family now, and if she doesn't go, then I don't either. This whole argument has caused my family to pick sides, with my mom and dad being on mine, but with most being on my sister's. Lots of family members have called me up and told me to just come, and I decided to ask my brother-in-law if he was going to change his mind, and he put his foot down and said no. My sister now is heartbroken because our parents aren't going, nor our grandparents, but she still refuses to invite my wife. I am really torn because I want to make my family happy, but then again, my wife is my family. So am I the a-hole? Edit. Seen a lot of people saying about invites. Even if I was invited, I would not go. I just want my family to apologize to my wife. I explained to people who are on her side my reasoning, and as it turns out, the fiancé lied to them and told them that me and him had an argument. After I explained to them, about half of the people still attending announced that they weren't. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Not the a-hole. Your sister should be upset that she's marrying a racist, not that you don't support the union. Considering she's alright with the issue, I'm less worried for her sake that she's marrying someone like that. Sounds like she's one too. Oh, she is. Lay down with bigots and you're a bigot. It's that simple. They should have been sisters hill to die on. Instead, she sacrificed her sibling and parents on it. Your wife is more family than he will ever be. The fact your sister would even marry him after that comment is absolutely disgusting. I'd go no contact with both of them. They don't deserve any of you in their life. You're absolutely not the a-hole and do not go under any circumstances. I'm glad you defended your wife against such blatant racism, but I'm truly disgusted with your sister. Really tell sis she ain't family no more. Not the a-hole, of course. You're doing the right thing. You need to have your wife's back and by extension your son's. If you knuckle under now, there's going to be even more and more blatant stupid crap from your brother-in-law, and possibly more of the family if they see him getting away with it. Now for the update. Great news, everybody. The fiancé has been in a way banished from the family after everybody learned why I wasn't attending. I have also cut most ties with my sister. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not standing up for my wife when my uncle made a gold digger joke because what she said mortified me? I haven't seen my mom in a year. Last year, there was a big fight between me, my wife, and my mother about how Christmas would work and who would host. And that's when my mom decided she didn't want to see me anymore. It sucks, but I'm not going to beg her. However, my wife and I have a disagreement regarding our 1.5-year-old son. She thinks my mom is a horrid person for not sending him gifts, cards, asking for pictures. I think if my mom actually wants no contact, she's doing the respectful thing. Also, we both agree she wouldn't be allowed to see him, so I don't really get what my wife wants. I have asked her to not badmouth my mom to any of my family. I want to preserve the few relationships I have left. And it is honestly embarrassing. My grandparents gave my mom zero help with me because not their kid, not their problem. And that was with them being fairly close to my mom. So I can't imagine how they would react to hearing my wife's views on this. Recently, we ran into my uncle at my grandparents' house. It was awkward as I know that the dude hates me and is 100% on my mom's team. But we were all guilted into staying for lunch. My grandmother was trying to get my uncle to come for Thanksgiving, and he got pissy and said no, and that she knows he spent all holidays with my mom. My wife then asked how my mom was, and I felt myself cringe. My uncle said she's great. My wife replied, "We wouldn't know as she never sends any gifts for our son, so maybe she's dead." I gave her a look begging her to stop, while my uncle's wife just burst out laughing. My uncle asked if she was kidding, or if she really thought my mom was going to buy gifts for a child she did not know. My wife went on a rant about how she would do anything to have any amount of contact with our future grandchildren. My uncle laughed and said, "Wow, such a gold digger, you put my ex to shame." My wife immediately looked like she was going to cry, but I just couldn't bring myself to say anything. I was mortified, and I'd begged her not to bring up the gift thing. She asked if I was going to defend her. I said no, and she ran out of the room. We left and she is furious with me. She says I betrayed her and that my mom is going to laugh when she hears of this. I told her that she humiliated me and I had begged her to stop with the gifts. Not stay whole. Your wife making a big deal about not getting gifts from someone who is no contact with you is absurd and need not be defended. We all know if his mom did send gifts or request photos, wife would refuse them and probably rant about how horrible his mom is to want access to the kids but not them. Everyone sucks here. Not because he didn't defend her, but I have a feeling there's a good reason your mom and uncle want nothing to do with you. I would assume it's more to do with the wife than with him. Although I guess it still makes him an a-hole to bring a toxic person into his family and let her wreak havoc. His wife wanted to host Christmas, so he invited his mom because he knew no one else would come if his mom hosted her normal Christmas at the same time. And this is how mom replied. My wife really wanted to host Christmas, but no one would come if my mom hosted an alternative. So I asked my mom to come and she went insane, accusing me of wanting her to be martyr. And said to put my wife first, but don't let her put her husband first. She was screaming about how her needs are just as important as my wife's. And why should her husband be forced to spend Christmas with us? She said she regrets having me and doesn't want to see me again. Everyone sucks here because you all sound like awful people. That's really all there is to it. I could try to get into details, but really, you all suck. Try to bring up your kid to be better. Good luck with that. Yeah. Every single person in this story needs a timeout, a nap, and a snack. Not stay whole. Why is your wife so desperate for gifts from someone she's no contact with? She opened the door to everything that happened after asking about your mom, so she needs to live with it. How exactly does she want you to defend the indefensible? I think what the wife wants is for the mom to come begging to spend time with the kids and try bribing with gifts. She already said they're not going to allow the mom to see the kids. So I think she wanted the mom to ask so she can say no. Next story. Am I the a-hole for backing out of going to my mother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving after I overheard her conversation with my husband? My brother, 19, passed away in a motorcycle accident a month ago. It was so devastating. It's also fresh, and grief has been heavy on me. But I try to carry on with my life and visit the family and my in-laws. I basically do my best not to miss an event, especially with my in-laws. My husband and I were invited to Thanksgiving by mother-in-law. I was planning to go. I even went shopping for a dress, which is hard to do due to grief, but I kept it together. Last night, we were at her house and I excused myself to the bathroom while she and my husband and his dad were talking. I came back and heard her ask why I didn't turn her Thanksgiving invitation down. I was puzzled. I decided to stop and listen more. My husband said that it was my mother-in-law's fault she invited me. But she said that she did it out of courtesy and that she didn't think I'd accept the invite. She said that now I'll potentially ruin the celebration with my negative vibe and will make things awkward for everybody because of my brother's passing. I was stunned. My husband replied saying that I do tend to get emotional usually. Now it's worse that there's death in the family. I was so upset I didn't know whether I should go home or pretend to not have heard this. I stayed quiet till we went home. There, I told him I won't be going to spend Thanksgiving with his mother and family. He asked why and started pressuring me to talk. I told him about a conversation he had with mother-in-law, and he got upset and accused me of stirring drama by snooping and eavesdropping on conversations that I wasn't part of. We got into a massive argument about it, and he kept saying that I was being too sensitive and unreasonable. His mom tried to call then texted about me not hearing their conversation properly and that there was a huge misunderstanding. Now she's saying the guests will ask about me if I'm not there and there's going to be issues. Now for the top comments. Not a hole. Get a divorce ASAP. This right here. OP is grieving, and all the in-laws are thinking about is the negative energy. Grieving is not negative energy. It is pain and hurt someone feels, and it was made so much worse by the husband and mother-in-law. OP, don't be with someone who can't support you. Someone who scolds you for eavesdropping, but who had the audacity to talk poorly about his wife behind her back and not protecting her. He is the issue. I hope OP has a safe place to go and spends the time there while looking for a divorce attorney. Marriage is about the good and the bad. What in the world? I am so sorry for your loss, first off. But they're all a-holes, obviously. The mother-in-law is manipulating and gaslighting you at an incredibly vulnerable time for you. To think that what you heard is incorrect, and your own husband, the one who has seen you lose your brother, witnessed your very valid grief, and now has the audacity to turn the blame to you because how dare you be too emotional and make a dramatic situation out of the death of your brother. I'm not going to say you need to dump that family, but you need to seriously think about how uncomfortable they are simply by your grieving. Instead of comforting you in a devastating time and making things easier for you, having compassion and empathy, they've decided to do the opposite. They are emotionally inept. And I dare say this is the first blaring red flag you've seen. Also, the fact that mother-in-law is trying to change the script in your head because you weren't supposed to hear what she said is pitiful. She obviously doesn't want you to think lowly of her, but that ship has sailed. Integrity is what we do when no one is looking or hearing, and this family has no integrity. I hope you find the support you deserve in this horrific time. I cannot imagine the grief you are experiencing, and this now has just made it all so much worse. Good luck. Not the a-hole by any stretch. Your husband and his family are incredibly insensitive. You have a negative vibe? Seriously? Were you supposed to just get over this in 2 days? It's not like a goldfish died. He describes OP as usually being emotional for him in a negative context, which can carry unsavory undertones. OP needs to reevaluate whether she's best off staying in this marriage or getting out of it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my father that he was not a good father to his daughters? The incident that sparked this is very small, but there is quite a bit of a background. A few days ago, I, 30 female, was leaving our small town to go to a metro city hospital for a minor procedure. My father, 58 male, came to pick me up and drop me off at the airport. He was using my car while I was gone. He is very fit and strong, and I am a small woman. I was struggling with my luggage, and he knew that pre-operation I should not lift extra weights, but he did not offer to help. He does these things often. In contrast, when my sister-in-law carries even a small bag of groceries, he runs to help. I was put off, but did not say anything. My brother did the same thing again yesterday. He still helps his wife and female friends. But while he has relied on my effective labor for years, he has never paid anything back. I have learned to be very independent as a result. But being vulnerable pre- and post-op made me reflect on this. Of course, this goes back to our entire childhood. My father worked less than my mom, but never helped with any chores or childcare. Instead, he always gave her work. Dinner parties, house guests, etc. He was abusive to my mother when she protested, and at times to me and my sister. He is the nice guy for outsiders and has a respectful life. I remember my mom being completely submissive until I was 7 or 8. But after a while, she started fighting back. And she became a difficult person, abusive back and words with him and often being short-tempered with us. While I do not justify what she did, she has apologized profusely in both words and practical ways. My father has acknowledged that he mistreated my mom and has tried to make amends, but he has consistently denied any mistreatment to my sister and I. They're still together, but the dynamic has shifted. Last night was one of those nights. I was not there, but have seen it play out. My father was passive-aggressive for days, until my mother started arguing. Their argument turned into a full-blown one. Today, my brother, who had never endured my dad's antics, was sarcastic about my mom being a tyrant. I responded soberly to him that the women in our family have learned to demand to be treated with basic respect, because asking nicely has not borne fruit. But I mentioned the luggage incident as a minor example of what our mother endured for years. My brother responded that if this bothered me, I lack emotional intelligence. That hurt. A little later, my father called and asked if he could talk to me. I responded with, "No, you cannot until you become a better father to my sister and I. Until you show to your son that he cannot call me emotionally and intelligent for expecting a strong man, whom I have consistently served, to lift my heavy for me luggage in return." My father started crying and said that he knows he was wrong, but he has excuses, and I told him that sorry but doesn't cut it anymore. My brother is calling me the a-hole for not having a compassionate response. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. When your brother called you emotionally unintelligent, he meant to call you difficult to subdue. It seems that the patriarchy in your family is finally being called to justice, so to speak, and they don't like finding themselves on the other end of the stick. They're sorry they got caught, not that they were horrible. If your mom hadn't developed an aggressive stance toward your father, things would be the same to this day, and he wouldn't feel remorse as long as she kept playing the role he envisioned for her, you and your sister. Your brother's comment was daft, and shows clearly as water that he's grown to be his father's son and would continue to disrespect the women in his life if they let him. You are entitled to express your feelings. That is very much what I responded. They just claim their point of view with such certainty and indignation that it makes me wonder. They're grasping at straws not to be outed as the horrible people they are/were. You're not falling for it because you're emotionally intelligent as it seems. So they, your brother in this instance, tried to insult you into silence, in my opinion. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry your dad is like this, and it appears your brother is following the same pattern. I highly recommend the book Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. It's eye-opening, and if your dad is actually changing in any way, he might recognize himself in it.